When I hear the word mother, it should be a safe place. Sometimes it's not for people, but that's what I think about mother. Motherhood is not easy. It's hard, because you expect it to be a doctor, a lawyer, a mathematician, professor, like know everything. And we don't know everything, but we're good at get through.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to How the F Is This a Podcast. I'm your host, Doc G.
And I'm Krista Renee.
And today we have a special episode on motherhood, the many faces of motherhood. And we have the honor of having my mother. So we can really get into it real quick. So, Ma, when you hear the word mother, what comes to your mind?
Mother, I feel like that's a safe place. When I hear the word mother, it should be a safe place. Sometimes it's not for people, but that's what I think about mother. Motherhood is not easy. It's hard, because you expect it to be a doctor, a lawyer, a mathematician, a professor, like know everything. And we don't know everything, but we're good at get through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, like you just mentioned, right? Mother, that word, that title means so many different things to so many different people, especially considering their relationship with their mother, their relationship with other mothers. It could just have a range of things. Like, I feel like as I had an idea what motherhood was until I became a mother. And I'm like, oh, they didn't tell me this. You don't get a handbook. You don't get a handbook about that. And so it is something that I can relate to. Like, it just depends. We have many roles even in that title.
Yes.
So, what do you think, like, when we even think about the many roles that we have within that title, do you think that motherhood can be defined even like by like from your relationship with the person? Like, maybe it's not your actual mom. Can people take on that role anyway?
Yeah. A mom, you just have to be a caring, loving person. Just because you were born to a person doesn't mean, blood doesn't always mean family. Or because this person birthed you into the world doesn't mean that they are capable of giving you the love that you might want or or even deserve. So yes, there are mothers in many places. I've had a lot of mothers that mother me. So I don't think just because you're blood to someone that means you can't love a person like a mother.
Yeah.
Okay. So you became a mother at a young age, right? So you got pregnant at 16, right?
Yes.
And had my older brother. So at 16 years old, being pregnant, what were you expecting when you decided, hey, I'm gonna have this child?
At 16, I really didn't know what to expect. The only thing I knew that is like I didn't want to have an abortion. And I was being forced kind of to do that. And when I was taken by my mother into the abortion clinic, when the counselor there told me I had a choice, I was like, really? Because, you're still young. I'm thinking I got to listen to everything my parents say, say to do. So that's the only thing I did know is that I didn't want to kill my baby.
Yeah.
How I was going to take care of him or whatever, I had no idea because I was still playing with my Barbie dolls. So that's the only thing about motherhood I knew, like playing, and I would dress my Barbie dolls up, send them up, and be like, do stuff which you think a mother is doing. Like, okay, now we're going to go to school, or now we're going to cook food, or y'all going to sit down and eat lunch. But it's not like that.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
So you had your child at 17. You turned 17 and had your child?
Yeah, I think I turned 17.
Yeah, okay, see, yeah, because his birthday's October. Yep, so you just turned 17.
Yeah.
So you had your
let him grow up together.
At 17, boom. Now the world work begins, right? So, I mean, you still technically a baby yourself, right? You still developing and mind, body, everything. It's so many different experiences that you haven't experienced yet at this age.
Right.
So when you had my older brother, tell me, like, what was that experience like for you once he was here?
Once he was here, it was, well, I probably could go back before that. Even me in labor was like traumatic because all of these things are happening to your body and you just like, what's happening? And the doctors are coming and they're saying, because I think that's when they first started doing epidurals. And, you know, I went to Lamar's class, they never said anything about that. So when I got to the hospital, they were like, oh, we're going to come in and put, you know, a needle in your spine that's going to help you. And I'm like, where's my mom? Because nobody said this. And my mom's like, oh, yeah, she don't need that. She need to feel all this pain. So I'm just like, okay, this is gonna be a lot of pain. And yes, it was a lot of pain. And that was a lot to get used to too. Your body is different and all these other things that happen to your body. And now you have to care for a baby. And then now people are coming to you and saying, okay, you need to breastfeed. And I'm like, okay, this baby won't do what they saying to breastfeed. So I'm like, okay, I can't do that. So maybe I need a bottle. So it's joyful, it's overwhelming, it's stressful, all at the same time. Like all the emotions all at the same time. Because now you're just trying to figure out, okay, one, how do I keep this kid alive? Two, why doesn't this kid shut up? Like, we have a bedtime. Like, go to bed.
Right.
Well, he was like, nah, he wasn't having that. So I thought I was gonna be a new age mom. Like I didn't want to give my child a pacifier because I didn't want his teeth to be bucked out. So I'm like, oh, he's not getting a pacifier. Until that night, he would scream all night, and I was just like,
here you go.
No, I never brought a pacifier because I had never intended to give him a pacifier. Gosh. So I was just up all night rocking him, trying to figure out. And I remember it was probably like 1 in the morning. I was waking my mom up and I was like, can you just take this baby because he won't be quiet? And she was like, no, girl. You open your legs, you figure it out. And I was just looking at her like in disbelief, like, what? Like, you're a mom. Like, you know what to do. Like, do it. Yeah, do it. Keep them quiet. And she didn't do it. So what I figured out on my own, I took one of the nipples off the bottle and I just stuck my finger in it and then stuck that in his mouth and just put him in the bed with me. And he finally went to sleep. But the next day, I brought 4 pacifiers and boiled all them suckers out. So they could be ready.
Right.
You know, so that was the first experience.
Yeah. And so did you have experience, you had your child in your teens, but before then, did you have experiences with motherhood, either watching someone, having some examples of that prior to you having your first son?
Well, not watching a baby, but I used to babysit my cousins and stuff for my aunt. So, but you know, they were bigger. They probably like 3 or 4 years old. So that wasn't, I wasn't per se learning how to take care of baby or whatever because, you know, cousins, we went outside to play or, you know, I make them a sandwich or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, change their pamper or something if they were still on pampers or make sure, you know, take to the bathroom and stuff like that. But as far as having a baby, like when I was pregnant with Rayvon, my first nephew was born. So I guess he was my starter baby because I took care of him because my sister was in nursing school. So he went with me everywhere. He slept in the bed with me too. So it was like having 2 babies. People was looking at me like, oh, this little child with these 2 babies. Like nobody believed me when I was like, no, this is my nephew. Right. They're like, poor child. You know? She is with 2 children.
And how was it navigating life though as a young mom trying to figure out school or working, like share that experience from when you did have your first child to then, getting at some type of stable in your workplaces.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, even being pregnant, because I was going to a high school, it's called Richmond Hill, Queens, which was a specialized high school because my dream was to be an international attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to take a test to get into that school. And once they found out that I was pregnant, I could no longer go there.
Mm.
So I had to go to an alternative school because they said it was a liability for the school. Like if something happened to me, because at that time it was no, like now it's glamorized teenage pregnancy, teenage moms, they got a show and all of that. It was no show. It was a scarlet letter. It was like, you're horrible, you're worthless, there's nothing good gonna happen for you. And I'm like, I didn't murder nobody.
Right.
So I had to leave the school, and in your young mind, I figured, oh, okay, I could still finish school because like I'm not even showing, so who would know? But they said no, it's a liability. So I wound up going to an alternative school in Manhattan and finishing, like all my schoolwork and stuff. And there they were very helpful and just trying to, but it wasn't like a lot of girls like you would see now. It's probably maybe like 4 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more like a pity on you, like you know what I'm saying? Like, look at this big mistake you made, and like you can't go anywhere else. So that I at that point I felt like nothing else was good. Like I was not gonna be anything because that's what people kept saying.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you just gonna be on welfare and you gonna have 10 kids or whatever. I was like, I ain't even like sex the first time. I'm like, I ain't even know.
Right.
So it wasn't that was actually me getting pregnant was my first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got pregnant. Crazy, right?
It is. But but it happens. It happens. Do you feel like you already touched on the impacts of how people made you feel because of you being a young mother? Was there ever a moment where you can remember where someone helped you believe in yourself or just gave you words of encouragement so that was different than what you were hearing from these other people that you just talked about?
Not at that time, not really.
Yeah.
It was just because it wasn't a big fad like it is now. So everybody looked at you like that. Your parents, your grandparents, the neighbors, everybody was just like, poor thing. I don't know what she gonna do. So it wasn't, and even being in church, I've been in church my whole life, from a little girl. And even going to church is like, oh, you better sit in the back, and the only good thing for me is that because I had morning sickness so bad that I wasn't gaining weight, so my stomach wasn't getting big. So unless somebody told you, you wouldn't know I was pregnant. Yeah. Because I didn't really get a stomach until like later, like maybe 7-8 months. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was easier to hide. So it's like you're hiding really in plain sight. Yeah. And hopefully nobody else said, but back then everybody told you business. Your mom got on the phone, she told everybody, told the whole neighborhood, yeah, child, I got pregnant. Oh my God. So the whole neighborhood, Yeah. So you come outside, it's like,
So tell us about your experience when you left the house. So you had your newborn, you no longer could stay at your mom's house, and then you had to leave the house. What was that experience like for you? And how old were you during that time?
Ray was Ray probably was maybe 8 months, probably around 8 or 9 months, maybe. I don't even think he was a year yet, because he was still going to a babysitter. He wasn't like in school or anything. When my mom kicked me out, that was just stress upon stress upon stress, because I actually just lived with a couple of people, so I kind of was couch surfing. I was homeless basically, couch surfing and trying to figure it out. try to figure out how to get a job, how to pay the babysitter, and you know, now how much people pay for babysitters is expensive, but back then I was just like $35. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? So I had wound up. I was staying with this one lady, and I didn't have any money, and I was doing like temp jobs. And so she was like, "Well, if you don't like pay me no money by any week, whatever, like you have to leave, cause you know I got bills or whatever."
Mhm.
So I was, cause I never went to go get on welfare. I was like, that wasn't my thing.
Mhm.
So I walked down there in the blizzard, New York City, and to get welfare. And then I see all these people in there like on drugs and everything. I just started crying. I was like, this is not my life. Like I'm not on drugs. I'm not on whatever. And this lady that was on drugs, she was in the line. She said, "Baby, just go ahead, sign the papers and get what you need. You can get money, this, and that." So I filled out all the stuff. They gave me a worker. And, you know, it was a black lady that was working. So I felt like, you know, maybe she was being on my side and help me. And at the time, I had started going to college and like working like the temp agency. I kept working through the temp agencies.
Yeah.
And the lady kept cutting me off because she would find out I was working at the temp agencies, but I needed the money. They was giving me probably like $50 in food stamps and maybe like $25 in money. Like, I got a baby. He need formula
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I gotta work. Um, and that day when the lady told me she was gonna move me out, I walked down there. I walked past the security upstairs, like to the main office where the big people are, and I was just cussing and crying, cussing everybody out. And the top lady came out her office and she was like, "Who is this little girl up in here cussing like this?" And so I was telling her, I was like, "Chris, look, I'm in school. I'm doing this. I'm not on drugs. I'm not, I just went off. It was just like the frustration. And when I tell you that snow was past my, up to my knees almost.
It was New York. Yeah, the old school blizzards.
And I didn't have no coat or nothing. I walked all the way down there and she was just looking at me like, and she said, "You know what? All of this time, that lady, because I was in school, she was supposed to give me book money, lunch money, like all of these things she was supposed to give me, and she never gave it to me."
Wow.
So that day, that lady, she changed my work and actually gave me like all the back money they were supposed to give me. So I was able to stay, you know, with the lady I was staying with a little bit longer. But I mean, I had so many guardian angels.
Yeah.
Like my best friend Vanessa, me and her knew each other from 4th grade. She was just like, "I'm gonna sneak you in my house," like, and you know, until her mother found out. But then her mother was like, "Okay, but y'all should have told me."
Right.
And then my other friend Patty, her sister used to sneak me into their house because they dad was a single father, but he used to work on the midnights. So I used to wait in the staircase until he left for work, and then they would sneak me in, and then I would, you know, get up before he come back. But we got busted because we never woke up before time came back. And he caught me, and he was just like, "No, you stayed. You didn't have to do that or whatever."
Oh, wow.
So it was rough. Just trying to navigate that part of life and trying to go to school, try to get good grades, keep a job, get back home, and get up and do all this stuff all over again, and try to make sure I had somebody that was good, that was watching my baby when you know, when I went to school and went to work, because that was a problem too, and I was always nervous about leaving him with anybody that was a stranger.
Yeah.
Because you just never know.
Right.
And I definitely would have went to jail because I'd have hurt somebody.
Yeah.
So that was very difficult. Leaving him, and Ray was, you know, we grew up together, and he was a very clingy baby, and made me feel very bad each time that I left him with someone, because he would scream to the heavens like, "Mom, please," you know. So I'd be leaving crying like, "Ugh." And everybody should be like, "Go ahead, go where you gotta go." And I'm like, "No, but he keep crying."
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a real difficult part. to where I was just like, yeah, I'm not having any more kids. This is just too much for anyone to bear.
And then you did have two more, right?
Two more.
So then you had two more boys.
Right. But if I had never, like, I always said, like, if I don't get married, because my oldest son father passed away.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a lot to just take care of one child.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know I ain't ever taking no more. So it's just going to be me and him.
Yeah.
And that's it. When I met my ex-husband, for me, I was like, oh, I'm not having no kids unless I'm married. Because we taking this to the rocking chair. Like, they fall out to be here. I'm not going to do that by myself. And I didn't feel I was capable of doing that. Because I was like, ooh, now that's a lot. If I don't have help, then I knew it was hard just doing it with one child.
Yeah.
You know, much less doing it with more than one. I was like, yeah we ain't gonna make it.
Yeah.
You know?
So for the listeners, you already mentioned that your oldest son's father passed away. At what age was your son at that time?
He was like 1.
So he was 1. So really early on. And you're doing this by yourself, trying to figure it out. And also, good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
And what is something like looking back, right? Now you have grown kids.
Mm-hmm.
What is something about motherhood no one warned you about?
Nobody warned you about nothing.
You like, he ain't tell me nothing. All of this is a surprise.
You don't get a handbook, like I said. And each one of my children have totally different personalities.
Yeah.
They do totally different things. And it's like being a therapist because everyone has their own niche, their own personality, their own emotional hang-ups about whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone could really pinpoint and say, oh, if you do these 3 steps, you're going to be a great mom and your kids are going to be perfect.
Yeah.
There's no real answer.
Yeah.
It's like, I felt like I did the best that I could with the tools that I had. And the rest is all prayer. Like, Lord, please.
Please guide me and
save my children.
Yeah.
But I did what I felt was right to guide them in the right ways. To be successful in their lives. My prayer always for that was for them to always have everything bigger and better than I ever dreamed, or better than anything that I could give to them. And they have exceeded, all the things that I dreamed and hoped for them.
Yeah.
But I would say, to even young parents, because there's a lot of young parents out here right now, you have to be mindful of the seed that you're sowing in your children.
Yeah.
So if you're showing your children, oh, I'm out here, I'm twerking, or I'm throwing up the bottle, it's Henny, it's shots, and got your clothes hanging off and all that kind of stuff, those are the seeds that you're sowing. So they're not going to, especially if you have female children, you want to teach them to have respect for themselves, to love themselves, and to know when I walk out in this world, I'm a king, I'm a queen, I'm a prince, I'm a princess, and I need to command that type of respect from people. I think the best thing that I've done with my own children is always let them know to be an advocate for themselves. And like, just don't let people do whatever it is they want to do to you. And also, because I have Black male children, that's even scarier. Yeah. Because I've always have to worry, even now that they're grown. But I've always imparted in them, like, you're a Black man, you got to work 10 times harder. They used to hate that. But I think once they got older and went out into the world, they were like, oh, I get it now. I get what she's saying.
Yeah.
So I would get that resistance from them because they were like, well, you're not a guy. You don't know.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not a guy, but you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my job to protect you.
Yeah.
So do I know everything? No.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that I do know and didn't know, I imparted in them. I knew that it was very important for them to have the best education possible, because when they walk in the room, they can command their respect. And no one can take away their education from them. No one. So you were able to move wherever you want to move with that. So those are the things I think parents should impart. But remember how to sow your seeds.
Yeah.
And I get it. I was a young parent. Did I want to hang out? Yes. Was my friends hanging out? Yes.
Oh, she was hanging out.
You like, hold on, Ma, you was outside.
She was hanging out when I was there. She was like, I look cute. What does look like?
But you know what I'm saying? And it's important for you to do that too.
Yeah.
Because you're a human being too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you will be stressed out. Because if you don't really get time to, like, just be out, just have grown-up time and, be with your friends and just don't really, because when you come in, all the kids are like, hey, mom. It's like that commercial. Mike. That's how that is. Like, mom. Look at that.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
and you had 3. My one be like this. I'm like, shut. I love you, though.
You be like, okay.
Yeah.
So, after 7 years later, who did you have again? Yeah. Who's your favorite child?
My most conceited child.
Oh my God. Don't we all know?
No, so yeah, me, Ray, Dante, we 7 and 4 years. Well, me and Ray 7 years apart. Me and Dante 4 years apart, right? So out of thinking of all 3 pregnancies, right? Who pregnancy did you enjoy the most?
Wait, why do I feel like you know the answer to this something and act like you trying to ask that question? This ain't even a relevant question.
It is relevant because we're talking about motherhood.
You know what? Who's always been this way?
Whose pregnancy did you enjoy the most?
You do not.
Like, when did you feel life was like, okay, motherhood and life is alright right now? Like when you were pregnant.
Well, let me just put this in perspective. Okay.
Please do.
Let me put it in perspective for everyone. Because having Ray, I was 16. That's a stressful time.
Of course.
Okay. When I got pregnant with Greg, life was good. I was, was in a marriage. Our relationship was good. We was like, okay, we about to buy a house. We about to, do big things. We young. We getting it. Like, we building a house from ground up. Like, what? We up like Georgia Weezy. So, everything was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it was a great pregnancy because my mental was
because her mental health was not because you were carrying you, Greg.
My mental.
I mean, I guess both can be true. Both can be true.
The Gregorian.
But my mental, right? My mental health was.
And that's important. Good. And so, that is so important because, it's so interesting. Recently, I saw a study that actually says that women over 40 are having more kids than younger women. And which is interesting. I think that there's
the first time in history.
First time in history that women over 40 are actually having more kids than any under 40.
Yeah.
And so I think about what you just talked about mental health because we are in a mental health crisis right now anyway, and a lot of women are struggling with their mental health. And then if you even thinking about having a child, you like, hold on. So I feel like that just has become a bigger issue.
It is, because you think about it, like when I was having children, they didn't really talk about postpartum and all of those type of things.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was experiencing all of that. Especially at 16, I experienced all of that. But no one said, maybe you could talk to a therapist or maybe this pill can help you or something. So nobody really talked about that.
So you were just in your whatever that was.
Whatever it was. And the
You was
depression.
yeah.
It was a depression.
Yeah.
I felt like I was chronically depressed.
Yeah.
It was a depression.
Despite rising societal stressors, it's possible to take care of your well-being. Levels Mental Health provides compassionate care for those experiencing mental health challenges. Our holistic approach addresses anxiety, depression, behavior issues, and trauma, ensuring individuals feel understood. It's time for accessible mental health services for all. Visit levelsmentalhealth.com to learn more, schedule a consultation, or donate to expand outreach and support our community.
I feel like as a mom, I went through, so, you know, as a mom, I definitely went through my stages of feeling depressed. And when I have got, not even feeling, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder many years ago. So it wasn't just a feeling. But like, as I began healing and I'm better, there was like a level of guilt I felt towards my child that I'm trying to do mom stuff and also really struggling to do Crystal stuff. Did you feel any type of guilt when you were experiencing those signs and symptoms?
No, not at that age, because I didn't even understand what those feelings and emotions were.
Yeah.
No one identified that for me. I was having major depression and having panic attacks. I didn't know what it was. It was everybody saying, "Oh, she always doing too much." So it wasn't something that I knew what it was or recognized. I didn't know nobody that experienced that, so I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? So, and I could only differentiate between the two of then getting pregnant with Greg, with my second child, that my mental was, you know, my mental, my spirit, my everything was in a good mood. Everything was happening good. It wasn't like I wasn't by myself. I had a partner.
Exactly.
It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like somebody died and now, you know, I'm young. That's my first experience with somebody dying that I loved.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, all type of things are happening to you, but I had no mirror, and I didn't see that before, and so I had no idea what I was going through. Not until later on in life, then I was like, dang, I was experiencing that, didn't even know it. You know, and so I've been experiencing all that time, never diagnosed with it, just was experiencing it the whole time. So with the theory of people like over 40 having kids, I get it, because you've lived your life, you know, you've traveled.
Probably more stable now.
You've finished school, and preferably that partner you're with is, you know, ready to have a life and ready to take care of children and stuff like that. Versus when you're young, the only good thing about that is that you still a young poppin' looking mom.
Right.
That's
they be saying I look like Asia's sister, so I'm like, I'll take it.
When I go out with him, chicks be thinking I'm his girlfriend. So I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm still popping.
Yeah.
But versus, if I was able to, you know, go through my childhood and my 20s and my this and do the things that I wanted to do and be able to travel and even go to law school, finish law school, and be that international attorney. Man. I'd have, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I would have been more prepared for one, financially and emotionally, for my children. So, but I don't think we did good though. We still fared and we ain't too bad.
Did good.
You know?
What's a core memory about being a mother for you? Like, if you can name one thing that's just like you could take a picture.
No, I think just having happy times, like we used to have, you know, dance parties in the living room and joking and stuff like that. Definitely seeing you guys graduate from college and getting master's degrees and doctorate degrees. That was just like everything for me. Everything. It's like nobody can tell me now. I told everybody. People was like, we is tired of hearing about your kids. I was like, well, my son's a doctor. My husband just got his master's. This one's got the man. that was everything for me, because when I look back at it, I was like, look, I just shut down all the naysayers and I ain't have to do nothing. I ain't have to smack nobody, punch about it, nothing. Cause like, I'm like, watch my shine, you know, because people said I was going to be nothing. Like, you young, you got this kid, like, what you going to do? You ain't going to be nothing. So when I look at my children, I'm just like, ha, look at me now.
Yeah.
So when I see them making all these big strides and doing all these big things, I'm just so proud that it's like, I don't care about people telling me we go out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my son. That's my son. That's my bestie. That's my bestie.
What's a tradition that you enjoyed while we were growing up? Yeah, being our mother.
A tradition?
Yeah, if a tradition, maybe family activity, something that you like enjoyed.
Well, what made me scared, but y'all enjoyed it, it was riding bikes. Because they used to go down his big hills. I did not.
Yeah.
But I loved, like they were, I had, well, all of them played football. Ray was the football star. Greg and Dante, yeah, that's so hard. But I didn't care. I ran back and forth with the rest of the men. Like, touchdown. So I enjoyed those moments as well. Just to see them coming in. My whole car would be full of snacks and oranges and some of the waters and Gatorades and all of that kind of stuff. And tradition-wise, I would say me cooking Thanksgiving dinner. I'm on my first Thanksgiving dinner. I had never cooked like a whole Thanksgiving dinner. And so the kids, you know, I had them all. They was my sous chefs. Everybody had an assignment. And every Thanksgiving we would do that. And to the point where, well, my granddaughter, one year, I told her she can grate the cheese. Now, Dante has been the cheese grater for years. He came in the house and was like, that's my job. And I was like, well, let her do it. He was looking at me. He was a little salty. He's like, my job. But everybody had their job. And so that, I think
I was
that
the second lead chef.
Yeah, you was the second lead. But we would get it together. Because I remember my mom came, everybody came to the house, and I was so nervous. I wanted, like, I had called, like, my oldest son's grandma. She gave me recipes. And my grandma, which my dad's mom, she gave me recipes. So I combined those recipes to cook this dinner. So I was just nervous. I didn't eat anything. I was just watching everybody's faces to see, you know, if they liked it. And my mom was like, you didn't cook this. And I was like, no, I did. I cooked everything. And the kids was like, no, my mom did. Nobody helped her but us. We was sous chefs. So that, I always loved that.
No.
So now he thinks he cooks better than me. He tells me to sit down or to
I mean,
so I'm like, go ahead, do you book?
I'm the Thanksgiving king now.
I'm not even gonna comment. But, and so no, well, thank you for having those reflections, sharing your core memory, those memory shots, and also the traditions that you had. Is there anything that you would tell a young mom or just a new mom, since mom ages are changing?
Yeah. What I would say for a young mom, if your parents are not the people that are going to give you encouragement, try and find your tribe.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there that are there to encourage you. Don't give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
If it's something, ooh. I didn't want to get emotional about that, but I would say don't ever give up on your dream.
Yeah.
And if it's something that you want to do in life, do it. No matter how hard it is, no matter what people say that you can't, don't give up on your dreams. Because I feel like I gave up on my dream. So, but I did things that I knew that was for my survival, but it wasn't anything that I dreamt of. You know what I mean? I would say older moms, like, you know, if you're overwhelmed, like, ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, because sometimes you feel like, oh, you can't ask people for help, or you're trying to be so strong. Like, you know how they say, I mean, check on your strong friends.
Yeah.
Because I was that person that, and it just might be the Leo in me, that I'm like, yeah, you ain't gonna see me fall. You ain't gonna see me drop. You ain't gonna see that out of me. But, you know, in the inside, you still breaking down.
Yeah.
So having children is amazing and is beautiful. And I can't wait to have more grandkids and stuff to spoil. So, hint, hint, it's beautiful. But with anything, you have to be prepared and you have to be ready. And you have to have your tribe. Because if you don't have a tribe, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
To say, oh, I'm somebody's mom, you know. And if you don't have love to give, then that's hard. Because hurt people.
They do.
You know.
And that leads me to this transition piece right here. Thank you so much for sharing, Monica. No, seriously, really, thank you. You know, what Greg and I always intend to do when we're speaking is that we know that people have like these range of experiences in life. So we talk about joys, but we always want to make sure that people that don't have these experiences are feel seen too. And you and your sons have such an amazing relationship. I feel like one of the strongest that I've seen in male. A lot of dudes I know have really good relationships with their mom, but this is definitely one of the strongest. And then this episode is being released on Mother's Day weekend or Mother's Day time. But we also know that people don't always have the best relationships with their moms. No. And we want to at least acknowledge that sometimes even in this season, as Mother's Day approaches, and we started off the conversation talking about like that role or that title or those expectations of mothers, what is something, and we can all go around and say like, what is something that we can share for those people that don't have these solid relationships with their mom? And this season brings up a lot of, evokes a lot of emotions that are not always positive. Yeah. Like, what is something we feel like we can say?
Like earlier, what was stated is that, you know, blood doesn't make you family, right? So there can be somebody outside of your family that can be that mother figure to you if you're open to it, right? So that's up to you, right, to be able to find that, because some people are closed off and they just don't know how to accept the experience of that. But I would say that, you know, whether you go to church, whether you have, you know, close friends that you can be connected with their family. I know a lot of people that, you know, go to friends Thanksgivings with other family members, or, you know, hang out at their friends' Christmas family gathering, etc. And they're able to get that family union that they don't typically get at home with their family. And those are good ways to be able to connect, you know. And sometimes just reflecting and being alone is not bad either. You know, just reflecting on the good times and experiences, because it's not only about people that don't have a relationship with their mother, but also people who may have lost their mother.
Yeah, right.
Right. So in that space of still dealing with, you know, that trauma event that occurred and that grief, you know, sometimes you just got to remember the happy memories. And it's okay to go down memory lane and experience that.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you for calling that in. Yeah. The people that are grieving too.
Yeah.
Thank you. What would you say?
Ooh, I would say there are moms everywhere. I have 3 sons, but I'm a mom to many others. And I'm honored that they even give me that position. It's kind of difficult navigating through life when you don't have that type of relationship with your mom. Because I don't have a close relationship with my mom. I love my mom, and I believe she loves me. But through my life, I found multiple women, sheroes, that love me. I found my tribe. And if I went through something, one of those ladies I can call. And it didn't matter what time of day or night it was.
Yeah.
Um, and then you never know. If you have to give people grace and mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Because your parents are also human beings going through this life experience, and who knows what they gave up to have kids, or what their emotional state is, or what have you. But I feel like if you can give grace and mercy to your mom that you're not having a good relationship with, that's a place to start. And then you have to know emotionally what you can take from that person and what you can't.
Yeah.
But don't put yourself in a situation that it's going to be volatile to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still enjoy through this day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If your mom, even if you lost your mom, I would say go do something fun. Go do something that your mom liked.
Yeah.
And that would be something, you could start a new type of tradition. You know what I mean? And that would be something that wouldn't have you in depression for that day or whatever. But I would say that my son, they make me feel special every day.
Yeah.
They're my heroes.
Yeah.
They make me feel special every day. So Mother's Day is amazing, but every day they make me feel like an amazing mom.
Yeah. About that.
What about you?
I would say that also, to just build on what Doc G said about the grieving process, but more so, man, we see you. Like, we see you, and you are in our hearts, even as we're holding space for this conversation. And I hope and also pray that in this season, whether it's hard for you or you're just navigating through it, that you do find people that bring you joy, or you are intentional about creating those joyful experiences for yourself, that you do not.
You're not alone.
You're not alone, that you do not feel guilty for the fact that you may not have a solid relationship, that you know, despite your relationship with your mom, that you are deeply loved and valued by someone, and that by yourself and by others. And those relationships are hard, right? And so just know that you are seen, thought of, and prayed for. And really hoping that you do find a connection that reminds you of what you already should know about yourself.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say too is that sometimes people, like, relationships with them, they have bad relationships with their mother due to the lack of communication and the lack of emotional availability.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that us children, sometimes we do have to give our parents grace, and we do have to learn our parents' story.
Yeah.
Because once we know that their story, and we're emotionally available, and we're able to, think through some things, that may change our mindset on how we think about whatever the issue it is that we have with our mother, or even with our father, right? So I think it's definitely important to do that, to be reflective in that way, and really get to know your parent, because as we're growing up, our parents, they're getting to know us all day, right? But we're not really reciprocating that energy. It's not until we get into our adulthood where we can now process and think and talk about some of the same things that our parents talk about. It becomes more relatable. But growing up, we don't relate to them. The only thing is that this is my child, this is my mother, and I know I go to my mother for this, for that, and this is what I'm looking for, and vice versa. So now that we step into adulthood, we have to have those tough conversations if it's a relationship that you want, or you feel like you're missing. Or even just to get closure.
And I like that. And I want to also add, like, we'll keep adding and adding and adding. But I want to say, like, right? And I want to say, too, like, to give somebody a practice, right? Like, when I was going through, I wrote Asia a letter. When I tell y'all, I'm so glad I wrote her a letter, because when she got older and she wanted to talk about how she experienced when I was going through, I was like, honey, I wrote you a letter. This was years ago. I gave it to you years ago, but I still held on to it. So I saw you even then.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so being able to write a letter to your mom, write a letter to your child, if you're just a mom going through that. Right. But finding some type of practice and something to help out with that is helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
And two, I would add this.
Add it, dog.
You know what?
Add it on,
I'm an ass.
Cause that's amazing. No, remember, geez, I can't think of the artist that sang this song, but I remember one year my mom called me and she was like, "Oh, go buy this CD." This when CDs was still out. I can't think of the lady's name, but in the song it says, "If I could, I would change the limits of time." If I could. But
I know exactly. I feel like
I said, don't get to singing.
No, I ain't gonna sing. I'm trying to remember the words.
The
But
words.
if I could, I would change the limits of time. In the song, it was saying like, if I could take away the pain, like if I could, I would. I can't think of who's singing, but it's like, if I could.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
There's that song.
Yeah.
I got it, but
I should start acquiring.
right,
That one.
right, that one. But I felt like just hearing you say that was probably her trying to reach out to what she couldn't say to me.
Yeah.
With her own words.
Put it in a song.
That song explained it. And at the time when she said that, I was like, well, to me, I was like, well, why she doesn't buy the CD and give it to me?
Right.
But she called me and she said, "Oh, daughter, go buy the CD."
And
she said, "That's what I feel about you," or whatever. So I was just like, because at that time you couldn't look up nothing on
Spotify,
YouTube, and none of that. So she told me who the person that sang it was. So I went to the record store and I got it, and it was so crazy when I was coming here today. That song came on. I was listening to
on the radio
on my Spotify, not Spotify. What's my radio? I got XM.
Oh wow!
Oh, XM. That song came on, so I was like, I sang the song.
That's crazy.
So when you said that, and I was like, yeah, sometimes they don't have the words.
They don't.
And two, you have to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
My therapist told me before that, mother's not capable of giving you the love that you want, but you're gonna have to be okay with, like what she can give.
Yeah.
So I wanted too much that she's not capable of doing that how I want it and how I perceive it to be.
Yeah.
So as we get older and we grow into this, we have to realize that
some people are not capable.
They just not capable of that.
Yeah. And that brings us back to what you said about understanding the story. There's this book, last thing after that. There's this book by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Perry, and it's called What Happened to You. And it's a book about a bunch of things, neuroscience, but the premise of it is for us to get out of the practice of saying what's wrong with you and start thinking what's happened to you. When I started to learn my mother's story, my heart got softer around her. I started to see her as a human and not just in this role of mom. Yeah. And so it helped me be able to even continue to have somewhat of a connection with her.
You didn't have some empathy?
Yeah, you become empathetic.
I'm not excusing nothing.
No, not everything. And not saying that everybody got to do it.
I can have empathy.
Yeah.
And empathy is good. That's a good place to start.
It is.
Yeah. And just guess what? And say, I love you. I tell my kids every time we talk, I say, I love you. Because you just never know.
I love you, Mom.
I love you, Mommy.
I love you.
We love her. We love you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. We hope y'all have a great time. We know that y'all gonna pack out all the restaurants and there's not gonna be any reservations. Good thing that I got mine early. And
I should be going to my gospel concert. So I can put you on blast right here. You should have my ticket already.
All right, whatever. So no, but we hope y'all have a great Mother's Day.
We hope.
For the kids, make sure that grown kids, young kids, whatever, make sure that y'all, do something special, either for yourself if you don't have a mother, or for that mother figure that you have in your life.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Thank you
Appreciate
for
you
coming.
so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Moms rock. Moms rock.
I'm not.
Yourself a crystal.
I'm a great mom. My daughter loves me. All right, bye, y'all.